Welcome back, everybody. It's another video on my channel, and this one is going to be a banger. I did not plan this, but some of you Gurren Lagann fans got really spicy in my comments section, so I think I need to humble you, especially to some of you who got disrespectful and deleted your comments, which, yeah, I read that shit, by the way. I hope you see this. I will say that Simone fans obviously don't know how to power scale, apparently. First of all, Simone cannot get the hyperversal. Let me explain why. Basically, they use the infinite adaptation, or the him jumping up to like 3D to 11D in no time. The issue with this is that you can only prove that his adaptation could go up to 11D if you were to say hyperversal. That is not only a no limits fallacy, but it's literal headcanon. He has never shown capabilities, and he's never shown any feats that, or had any statements that suggest he'll get to this level, other than maybe a mistranslation that gets into 20 dimensional. And just because he did it in his series previously, like saying, oh, he did it once, he can do it again. No, that's not how it works. You need to actually provide evidence, otherwise it is a hearsay argument. Not just that, but you can argue that even Green Lantern Kyle is high hyperversal plus, which I'll go into later, which means you would have to argue that Simone can do this on an infinite scale, basically transcending infinite dimensions. And that's not how, I mean, he has no evidence for that either. So the best thing you can argue for Simone is basically high complex multiversal with immeasurable speed. So for Kyle Rayner, we already have crazy shit in his Green Lantern form. He was able to create a construct known as Oblivion in his, due to his vulnerability after his girlfriend got packed in a fridge. And Oblivion, this form of Oblivion, was basically his comic book villain he wrote as a kid come to life as a sentient construct, and it was able to box up the entire Justice League, including the likes of Superman, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and was able to incapacitate them and seal them into a fucking, I don't know what the fuck it is, but yeah, he was able to seal them away in some shit. And then he went to go try and box with the likes of Kyle, obviously, and said shit like Kyle is able to be stronger than all of the Justice League at the time. This is in the 90s, by the way. If you go read their comics, you're going to find more crazy shit for them than Simone. Obviously, Kyle thought very highly of this Oblivion as well, saying things like he was the strongest villain he had ever encountered, or the strongest villain in the universe, or things like he's never met anybody that powerful before in his life. And that's very impressive because he had just ran into Hal Jordan Spectre. Speaking of which, we'll get into Spectre later for the White Lantern scaling as well. But yes, we know that Hal is able to create the likes of Oblivion as well as many other sentient constructs, and Oblivion was able to create a quasar capable of destroying the universe, which is one of the universes within the Orrery of Worlds, which a low ball is literally the exact same dimensional construct that Simone can box with, meaning at a low ball you can argue Simone and base Green Lantern Kyle is a good, decent fight. When you get into the higher statements of it being infinite dimensional or 12.3D or some shit like Deathbow said, already above Simone if you use these statements. And that's a Green Lantern Kyle, not even a White Lantern. When you get into the White Lantern scaling, you got characters like fucking Necron being able to use the anti-monitor as a fucking power source. Like, he was using this man as a battery and literally going around, using his plague to fucking solo new gods and whatnot. He literally made Darkseid his bitch and sicked him on a fucking life entity fuse Sinestro. And Sinestro not only was at one point able to rip fucking Necron's heart out, but he literally one-shot this Black Lantern Darkseid. A very, very impressive feat. Obviously, the Sinestro that did this was pretty nerfed, because when he fought Darkseid, he was literally fucking looking anorexic, like some Lord of the Rings fucking golem type shit. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him here. And then we get into the Necron shit. Necron was able to whoop his ass and separate him from the life entity because it was rejecting him. So a full power Kyle should be above them pretty comfortably. Not just that, but Necron was actually able to one-shot, I'm not even joking, he one-shot the Spectre. And the Spectre is a creation level threat. That is an insane thing because we already had things like the Orrery, which I explained can be high hyperversal. Then we had the Bleed. If you think that there's a timeline around the Orrery and the Bleed just holds it all, then the timeline itself would be low outerversal. The Bleed is baseline outerversal. We also have things like the God Sphere being a platonic archetypal realm above all this shit. Metaphysically, fucking fictionally, whatever the hell you want to say, you can find that shit for the God Sphere. And for things like the fifth dimension, I found a very interesting statement saying that it is above every trans-geometric dimension. Basically, that's basically saying it could be above every geometric dimensional scale, so take that as you will. But for like a low ball, I'll keep this at baseline outerversal because that's all you need for a fodder character like Simone. And when it comes to DC, this man is not making it past the Orrery. Not just that, Kyle was able to go beyond Source and into the Overvoid. I'm not even kidding, the fucking Overvoid. He went to the fucking Overvoid. He was able to box with a stronger version of Oblivion that was a creation level threat. He created his own goddamn Source wall. Like, how the fuck he did that, I have no idea. Insane healing properties. Not healing, fucking sealing properties. Is able to seal away new gods like Darkseid. It's able to seal away Superman, and he went through it. And there's actually a very limited amount of people that has gone through the Source wall, and even the likes of Wally West recently had to get an insane amp to do it. Not just that, but he's actually able to rewrite the fucking source code itself. He's able to rewrite reality on a potentially high outerversal scale. But like I said, baseline outer, that is still way above anything Simone could ever resist. Not just that, but you can argue Kyle, if he doesn't decide to just drag him into the Overvoid, which I doubt he would probably just smack him into the fucking source wall and seal him like that. Not that he would ever need to, as it just takes a normal fucking laser blast and he's just like punching a hole through this bitch Simone, bro. Like, I don't even get why this was a fight. It was obviously one-sided. It never made sense to me. Actually, never mind. It made a little bit of sense, but not enough to like lie, because Dead Battle not only got caught lying twice when they said that, yeah, we technically could get DC's cosmology higher, but we're just not gonna research it, which I called out in my video. People were mad about that. And they admitted to infinite dimensional DC comics before, so it's not like they didn't know. They're basically lying to cause controversy for their views, and the Gurren Lagann fans are basically eating out of their hand. Yeah, they're just like eating that poop right out of their hand. It's crazy, because it's literally what you would expect from a Saitama fan. That is the logic Gurren Lagann fans are going with right now. They're like, yeah, bro, infinite adaptation. You're on the level of a Saitama fan if you think this shit. Anyways, I think I made myself dead clear. Kyle Rayner stomps. He wouldn't even be able to harm Kyle with all of his most powerful attacks. Even if you can argue he can adapt a couple infinities high, you can't prove he can't do it on an infinite scale. So, like I said, have fun. Anyways, y'all have a good day. There will be more videos in the future.